Yeah, what's happening? Sideline story. Got my boy B Mill. What's up, man? It's been a
Hey,
minute.
what's going on, man?
Glad
Happy
to
to
be
be back, man. Appreciate you having me on.
back. Already. Queso, what's happening, man?
Same old, same old. Trying to duck the sickness from these kids, man. It's cold up here.
Oh man, hope they feeling better, man. Hope they feel better soon. All
Yeah.
right, so real quick NBA talk for y'all. We're gonna get up out of here after we knock out these about 4 topics, some quick. Um, yeah, about 5 topics. All right, so I want to talk Golden State Warriors first. They dropped the last 5 games. Despite that, they still I know it's still early, but technically they still in the playoff hunt. Though they lost 5, I knew that D'Anthony Melton injury was going to be real significant. Good defender, he could shoot the ball. Draymond Green is hurt, and after doing some research, shout out to the Locked On Warriors podcast. Just trying to dig in the crates a little bit. I'm hearing that Steve Kerr is kind of like doing a lot of crazy stuff with the lineups, and like Steph Curry has he's voiced his opinion on it. Especially in particular with guys like Moses Moody. They extended him, and it's like the minutes is kind of funny. It's kind of up and down, and I don't know if he's really producing to the level that they would prefer. What do y'all see so far? B8, I'm start with you. What's going on?
Well, for me, I ain't had that much faith in the Warriors, so I was surprised that they got off to the start that they got off to. Anyway, so the fact that they fell off some, it's probably like going to be expected from me. Look like the scoring is down too. Curry ain't averaging no 30 no more. I think he probably at 22 points a game now. He's injured again. Um, like you were saying, Anthony Melton, I think he started the season injured. For him to be out for the rest of the season is going to be a blow. I didn't hear about the lineups, but I'm thinking he trying to get Curry off the ball a little bit more. I'm imagining probably a little bit.
I know he had a pretty big rotation. I want to say it was up to like 10 guys at one point. I know you're gonna have to condense that as the season goes along. So I guess he kind of has to find like a real rotation for real.
Yeah, for me, I think the Warriors, for them to be good, I think they got some front office moves to make. What they're gonna do with Kaminga, I don't know what Moody's. Kerr, he don't play rookies, man. Like even at this point where they're not even like a championship contender, he's still, I don't know, what is he doing with the rookies? I mean, that's been the case since Moody and Kaminga just got there. So I do agree with you with the Kerr might be on maybe kind of tripping a little bit, or especially about it like his lineups and just what he's been doing with the team in general. But I don't really see them as being like they look like at least a playoff team now. I had them maybe kind of being a play-in team, but they outplay my expectations anyway. But I think they got some more like front office moves to do before they even for the odd take them any serious than what they are now.
Yeah, like I said, with the injuries and stuff like that, they got to start. What's the name? Lindy Waters, the third, or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
seeing him against a burn out there, and I was like, yeah, you kind of test not really. I don't know the rotation size. It did kind of surprise me a little bit. Okay, so what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think with the Warriors, it's a combination of a couple things. I think one, Steve Kerr is doing too much kind of mad scientist type of stuff. With the lineups, like you got Kaminga starting one game, out the next game. Then he's also been injured one game, so it's kind of like you kind of got to mix and match a little bit. But I think even when he's had them consistently there, he's doing too much mixing and matching instead of just like getting a consistent like a consistent flow with players and minutes and kind of like building a chemistry within lineups and stuff like that. Obviously, you got Draymond who's been in and out with injury. Steph missed some games with some injury. Like you said, Melton being out is big for them. So I just think it's a combination of that, along with just not really getting that full, like having that legitimate set starting five and letting people know their actual role. I think players knowing their role going into a season is a big part of like being able to reach a peak as a team. So especially with players like Kaminga and Moody, who have kind of for the last couple of years been kind of up and down in the mix and not really knowing if they can be a part of the scheme, if they're not going to be in there. So I just think he got to kind of settle in, figure that out, and then I still have faith in them though because they still top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense. Which for me, if you sit in that top 10, you're good to go. So I can see them being like a 4 or 5 seed to end the season. So I think they just stay the course. It's a rough patch for them, of course, but they've had some competitive games, some games that could have went either way. And then just dealing with the injuries, just kind of stand fast, hold your position where you're at now, and then once you finally get that ship figured out, that ship righted, I think there's gonna be smooth sailing from them. Steph is, the downslope of his career. So we're going to see a drop off in his production. But they got young guys that can kind of pick up for that. And I think come playoff time, they'll be good to go.
Just to shore up things, do you think they would need a trade, Queso?
If we talking championship contention, yeah, I think they will have to make a move. It's hard to say who they should target, though. That's what I'm kind of stuck on. I'm not really sure what they need. I want to say a big, a stretch big, but I don't really know who that would be. Obviously, in the offseason, Lloyd Markkanen was the big name that was floating around. That didn't happen. So I don't really know who it could be right now. I'm kind of trying to brainstorm, but I don't know. But I do think if they want to be championship contenders, they're going to have to get a stretch big out there that can consistently knock down that three and kind of spread the floor out like how they like to play basketball.
The person that I really would like them to get is the person that they kind of flirted with in the trade market last offseason, and Zach LaVine. I feel like Zach LaVine is a guy, he could shoot the three, he could create his own jump shot, he could score from three, inside the two, he could get to the rim, he could get to the free throw line, he create for himself. I feel like Steve Kerr, I'm not saying he can unlock him. I feel like he is who he is at this point. He's a professional scorer at the NBA level. But I just feel like he maybe could give him some different looks because, it's a lot of motion in the offense. I really think Zach LaVine is a good fit for that team in particular. BA, how you feel about that? Or do you think they would need anybody else?
I think they need a big too. Probably a stretch kind of big too. With the marketing thing, that kind of killed the market too. Maybe look at a Miles Turner, something like that. I think they long overdue to kind of switch it up as far as that small ball, Kevon Looney, Draymond Green. I mean, to me, that time is over with. So probably a player like a Miles Turner. It's not that many out there as far as the stretches that I can think of off the top too. But I think that could be a start since Markkanen. I mean, who knows? Maybe Markkanen is back. I know they just signed him though.
Maybe even Vucevic from the Bulls maybe could even fit in there. Somebody like that.
Yeah.
That's the name that I've been hearing. Two players from. I heard I'm trying to make sure that's the team that I heard. If I'm not mistaken, it was nobody's untouchable, but they're not necessarily gonna give anybody away at the same time too. You're gonna have to pay some price. Not a real premium, but you're gonna have to come out something just to get some of those players. But Vucevic was a name that I've been hearing. The West is tough, and I feel like that's another thing too. If you got a lot of injuries, if you're going in a slump and you playing against the Western Conference, I feel like it's just a byproduct of how tough the West is. Speaking of the Western Conference, the next team we want to talk about is the Lakers. They suffered some bad losses. I know that Miami Heat lost. It got kind of crazy. We heard JJ Redick come on record say, it's embarrassing. AD and LeBron kind of backed those sentiments. I feel like the way they started is not where they are now. They came out really strong, running the ball through AD. In that little run, we saw Dalton Connect emerge as a real NBA player, playing real NBA minutes. A guy like Austin Reeves, he could create for himself and others. LeBron kind of being that veteran leader that he is, he could get his shot at any time. I feel like now they're in a slump, and if I'm not mistaken, AD is 7 for 28 for his last two games. He hasn't reached even I don't even think he's reached 14 points in the last two games. LeBron had a good game last game, but when you look at a final score like that, it's kind of hard to find a silver lining for real. I think this is kind of on par for a rookie head coach, going through the rigors of the NBA. You got some older guys on the team. You got some injuries. I know I'm hearing Jared Vanderbilt's name come up, but he hasn't really made it out there yet. B-Mill, you the Lakers insider, man. What Genie them and Rob Pelinka and what they got going, man? Holla at me.
Man, looking good, man. So as I seen the top there, I was like, man, these Lakers. But I watched the game yesterday. Turnovers, turned the ball over way too much. They got blown out the night before that too, or the last game. I think LeBron's averaging 4 turnovers a night, so he's throwing that thing all over the place. The rosters, they don't got no depth on their team. The depth is Dalton Connect is playing good, but he's averaging 11 points as a 6 man. 11 points, that's good for a rookie off the bench. But 7th, that's more like the 7th man, 11 points. You got to be getting somebody who's scoring maybe 16 points off your bench. So the depth ain't there at all. After Connect, they get to players that they've signed that look good on paper. Gabe Vincent, the kid from Cam Reddish, the other draft pick that they had, Hood Facino, the other draft pick that they good, the other shooting guard, Max Christie. Jackson Hayes. That's pretty much the whole bench, and they pretty much give you next to nothing off the bench. If you look at the league now, like it's all about depth. Like you got to have at least like 8 players on your team that got the potential to score 20 points. You know, like they ain't got to score 20 points every night, but they need to have the potential too. If you look at the box scores, you'll see down the line just like 7, 8 dudes in double figures on a lot of those teams. Lakers already got that when you average about 111 points per game. I think the high start was just things were just clicking for a little minute, but they're kind of like down to earth. With them, I would like to see them make some type of trade. I'm not too sure for like maybe like a Colin Sexton. Maybe they need like switch out the guard a little bit or get some. You need to get some type of bench too. But it just ain't looking good. I don't know if we get much, but I think we'll still probably be right there, borderline playoff team. But the team is lacking youth and athleticism to me, and I don't see that like changing overnight.
I'll say, man, for the Lakers, like whoever's in charge of their player personnel and going and signing free agents, don't go after any Miami Heat free agent ever again because they are just fleecing them. From Kendrick Nunn, who's not even in the league.
Hey.
We got Gabe Vincent, I saw a stat. He has more points with 0 games than he does in double figures. Like, stay away from Miami Heat players if you're the Lakers. Just don't go for them. If the Miami Heat let them go, they might as well be washed. Don't even try and sign them. But I think, especially focusing on the game last night, a lot of that comes down to effort. Like, I mean, we see if you watch the game, if you see the clips on Twitter, like a lot of effort on defense is just non-existent. Like guys walking back, just kind of they in la land, not even looking at the ball. Just it looks a mess. It looks like a JV game. It doesn't make sense to me. And I know, I mean, I ain't gonna say I know, but I don't feel like JJ Redick is coaching them that way. So something's not clicking, something's not going right. Obviously, they had a good start to the season, but lately it's been looking kind of rough. I do think a trade is needed. On the roster, I thought they would have been kind of trying to make a move with him. I mean, he's a decent player, but I think
who say that again? What player?
Russell.
Okay.
I think Russell. They could have made a move with him and kind of figured something out and got him off the roster. I like Hachimura. I think he could step it up a little bit more, connect off the bench. I don't expect too much from a rookie, so I think they appreciate what he's giving them. But you just can't expect LeBron and AD to. I mean, you want them to obviously carry the bulk, but you can't expect them to both go for 30 every night at this point. Like AD maybe, but LeBron though. I think he's right where he should be, around 22 points a game. That's what I would expect from a 40-year-old man at this point. Like not even that really. So what he's giving you is a surplus. It's just other guys on that team have got to step up. Reddish, Jackson Hayes, like you said, Cam Reddish. These guys, if you want to remain in the NBA, at some point you got to show and prove. Like they've had multiple chances to kind of prove that they belong here, and they still have not stepped up and kind of contributed to the team like you would like them to see. So I don't really know what more they can do, but I do know right now they're pretty much borderline play-in, and probably wouldn't make it out the first round if I had to bet money on it. So I think a move should be made, and I think Russell, if it was up to me, Russell would be the kind of like the first name on that chopping block. So we'll see what they do moving forward. But yeah, it's been rough.
Yeah. Whatever they have to do though, it has to be they got to gear something towards the defense. The defense is kind of atrocious right now. Respectfully, BA, it's kind of bottom tier right now. I heard a stat before I was leaving work. They said that the Miami Heat almost raised their 3-point percentage by 1 point in one game against the Lakers. And that's something that you kind of do over the course of a few games. They almost did it in one game. They shot 51% from 3. So I had a question I wanted to ask y'all. I kind of had a brain for it. All right, who's untouchable on this roster? Are there any untouchables?
It's got to be just LeBron and AD. And then Connect, I would say, obviously. He's a rookie. He's playing good. So
you think LeBron untouchable?
Yeah, he's untouchable. His son is there. He's on the sunset. He's not going anywhere. He's untouchable.
Let me be 8.
Probably just LeBron. And probably through and because of LeBron, AD. Like if LeBron wasn't there, AD could be movable. But I think they together. But everybody else probably. Austin Reeves, even Connect.
What do you think the Lakers need? Do they like athleticism? Because I'm looking at the Reeves Russell backcourt. I'm not really a huge fan of it. Like the Colin Sexton thing, I'm not too mad at it, but I feel like if Colin Sexton was to be moved, he has to come off the bench. I feel like he'll be one of the better 6-man in the NBA. I feel like he'll provide a scoring point off the bench, high energy player. I like Colin Sexton a lot. I like him in Alabama. But I'm trying to really think of what players they could really target in the trade market for real, because they need us like a specific type of player. I know Trae Young has been mentioned, but that won't do anything for the defense. And him and LeBron both need the basketball. I don't know how that would really work. I don't know how JJ would make that work. I'm not saying I don't trust him. I think he's a cool coach. I don't know. Is there anybody in specific before we move on that y'all can see?
For me, I think they need like a more consistent scoring guard. Like I think Russell, he has his moments and he has his games where he can get high from three. I would like them to get a guard that's more consistent with scoring. Obviously, with LeBron, you get the assist and you get like kind of like the pass. And I want to see a guard that can get in there and really put the ball in the hoop. So Trae Young would be good. And for me, the defense with them is gonna. I think it's just an effort thing. I think they have enough good players to play defense. I think it's just effort. If they kick up their effort, I think on defense they'll be okay. But offensively, they get too stagnant at times. And I know he wants to run it through AD, but some nights you just need your guard to be able to put that ball in the bucket. So I think Trae Young would be nice. I just think you would have to give up too much to acquire him. So I don't know who that next tier down would be as far as guards that can put the ball in the bucket. I mean, I'm a Celtics fan. I can see them really using Peyton Pritchard, but I don't think he's on the market. I don't think we're letting him go. So I think they just need somebody that can put the ball in the bucket and kind of get them up bucket. Even maybe like a Cam Thomas, like somebody. Man.
I was just gonna say
somebody that can put the ball in the bucket.
So basically, you saying they should just call Brooklyn and see what they want for Cam.
Yeah, man. Free Cam, man. Hashtag free Cam.
Free Cam. All right. Yeah. All right, it's time. I think, man, you talked about this, and maybe me and you did. Okay, so at some point, but I feel like this Zion Williamson thing is starting to I feel like we're going somewhere with this. It's gonna either get real good or he gonna find his way out of New Orleans. Now, obviously, they didn't have the start to the season that I projected for myself. I can't speak for y'all two gentlemen, but I kind of had high hopes for them. I wasn't a big fan of the McCollum DeJounte parent, as y'all two know. But I did feel like from a talent standpoint, they got a lot of talent on their roster. Jordan Hawkins, Herb Jones, Zion. They have had a lot of injuries. DeJounte's been out. CJ's been out. Zion is out, as far as we know. He's only played 6 games, and his numbers aren't that good to start the season off in the games that he has played. So as a player that stays injury-riddled, but the potential is just too good to pass up, BA, what do you think the Pelicans do?
Well, I don't think the potential is no more.
You don't?
Like Zion's archetype, that window, he's an athletic dunker in the 3-point shooting league. I mean, the window at Zion's peak, that was always going to be a short window. We're talking like 5-7 years. Can't shoot. He stays hurt too much. When you hurt as often as he is, you can't. It's 2 things that you ain't gonna be able to do. You ain't gonna be able to condition, and you ain't gonna be able to work on your game. So Zion's been in the league for X amount of years and still the same player. It looked like when he was in Duke, he might be able to develop a little jump shot. It's over for that. In Duke, it looked like he had a nice little first step. Maybe get to the rim a little bit. Maybe he play some point guard. I don't see that happening anymore. He just kind of one-dimensional play, and I think that play style is going to wear out thinner than usual. I'm kind of over it with Zion. Athleticism is great, but you're still 6'6". You're limited as a player at your peak. And as far as like what they would do with him, I think if I'm not mistaken, he got some his contract. I think was arranged in a particular what kind of way. Well, I think he had to reach certain weight limits and BMI limits too. And I think he might have also needed to play a certain amount of games this season, or I think maybe his contract would have been like not fully guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken. Where they probably won't. I think they can waive him either after this season or next. So I think that's part of the reason why he got rid of his agent, because of that contract that he signed. So if they was ever going to move him, it'd probably be around this time, because he couldn't keep up with those clauses in that contract. That's all true. Looked like he could be on the move. This is probably the easiest way to get him to move him. I know I said a lot of negative about him. I will say last year, you can see what it looked like when he is healthy. But when I look at him, when he's healthy with the rest of the team. To me, it's no longer so much about him just being a centerpiece of just what it looks like as a whole with him and Ingram and McCollum and what the potential could have been like with the rookies and uh, now with the DeJounte Murray. So I think he's a nice piece on a team that can be rolling, but with other pieces. But as far as him being the main piece, I don't believe it. So I think if they're gonna move him, they should get to it.
You don't think they should put him on the floor and healthy just to show a team like a sample size of, okay, he's healthy, he's looking good. Try to up that stock a little bit.
Oh yeah. I don't think you could trade him injured. I don't think anybody would go for him injured. But if it was possible if that situation with his contract gets worked out where they can kind of move on from him, I think they can. I think it's pretty much where they can waive him after the end of the season. Of course, they would probably trade for him, so if they can get him back. I think he probably do. Who knows when he's supposed to be due back? I know it was a hamstring, so who knows if he comes back mid-December. The trade deadline is still a couple of months away. Can you get him back on the court and enough time to show enough to trade him by the deadline? But for me, the season, and they fell out the standing, so the season is pretty much a wash. You could wait till the summer, or if that contract situation is now, you might want to pull the trigger now on it.
Yeah, I think they kind of fell too far behind the 8 ball in the Western Conference. Like they won tonight, so it's like what 5-18, something like that. I don't know. I think they're just too far, but wave is kind of crazy. I ain't gonna hold you. Okay, so holler at me real quick.
I think B-Mill kind of hit it right on the nose. I think with Zion, he's kind of shown at this point in his career that you can't really rely on him to be your main option. So I think if he went to another team where he wasn't like the main guy, maybe he was like the number 2, even maybe number 3, I think it could work out. But as far as focusing on him being your main guy and you building around him, it can't happen because he's shown that like we always say the best ability is availability, and he's never available. Like the sample size we got when he was available last year was the most games he played in the season. They were good. They were 42-28, I want to say. It was their record. They were pretty much a playoff team. Like, and he showed like, yo, when I'm playing, I can be that guy. But the issue is obviously the weight, the multiple injuries. So it's just you can't really rely on him. We've seen, like I said, when you get to the point where you got stipulations in your contract that's talking about your weight and your BMI and all that, you're not dependable. So you would think all this money and all these different things that's on the line would motivate him, but it just doesn't seem to really be sticking. So whatever his issue is, it hasn't been figured out yet. When he's on the court, he's great. I think he's damn near a generational talent, but it's just too few and far between when we see him on the court for a consistent period of time. So, I mean, obviously right now you got the second worst record in the league at 5-18. Murray is out. They're talking about Brandon Ingram wants out. He wants to be on a contender. So with that team, you really don't have much to work with. McCollum's on his last legs. You got guys like Trey Murphy and things like that, but you're not gonna really win many games with those guys being the go-tos. So I do think that it's time for them to move on from Zion. I don't really know what the market's going to be for him because, like I said, can't depend on him. So it's going to be certain teams might take a chance just because they'd be like, hey, we could use him, but we don't have to rely on him. So if we get him and it works out, it's perfect. If it doesn't work out, then, nothing really lost. We can just kind of take a chance, but it's a lot of money. So his options are really kind of limited. So I hate it for him because I really like Zion. Like when he's on the court, I love watching him play. He's a dog, but just can't get right, unfortunately. So it is what it is at this point. Hope the Pelicans can kind of get right from it, but it's a shitty situation to be in.
Yeah, I could see a big shakeup coming this offseason. I'm not saying they're gonna have a complete fire sale, but to keep it 100, when I'm thinking of this generational talent that you said at 24 years old, it's like being all who you are at 24 years old just sounds crazy to me. I'm looking at like Tatum and Brown getting better every year. Like the players in his class, like the John Morants, the Shea Gilgeous Alexanders. I'm looking at guys like making steady progressions in their game, and you can't get on the court. You always rehabbing. You're not healthy. You can't really work on fine-tuning your game. And like B. Mill said, you an athletic dunker in a jump shooting league. So it's gonna be kind of hard for you to like be the face of a franchise because, like you said, availability is the best ability, and he hasn't shown the ability to do that yet. It kind of sucks because we all excited for Zion. We like seeing him play. We was excited about what the Pelicans could do with all the talent they have on the roster, and for him to not be there potentially next year is kind of scary because I don't know I can't see a situation where your career gets better from her on that at 24 years old. I guess not even if you're a Pelicans fan, if you're a Zion Williamson fan, I guess you talk yourself into it by saying, well, he's 24, he does have time. But if you really think about it, these injuries, they accumulate fast. And, look at Brandon Roy, respectfully. Like, look, guys like Greg Oden, D Rose, like, they're just never the same after all these injuries, So, the last segment, teams that stand out. So, I like the Orlando Magic. I'm going to say that first and foremost. Now, the only thing that scares me about the Orlando Magic is in all of the top offensive categories, they rank 25 and 22nd in 22nd in assists, 25th in rebounds and points per game. But they number one in defense. They tied for third in steals per game at 9.4. They second in blocks per game, right under 10s, right under 7, 6.9. And they first in opponent points per game at 103. They number one in forcing turnovers. Now, as far as the offensive statistics go, that's kind of a byproduct of Paolo being out. But in his absence, Franz Wagner has kind of emerged as in this whole setting, like a top 10X type of player. Just in his absence on the run, he's able to go to. He's put together multiple 30-point games. We saw him hit a crazy shot in the clutch in LA. They 16-8. That's third in the East. In Paolo's absence, they have two players, and Mo Wagner and Anthony Black. They two of the top 20 scorers coming off the bench, and they also 13-2 in their last 15. So, from an offensive standpoint, if they can't really score the ball like that, they like shoot 31% from three. They're a horrible 3-point shooting team, but if they're constantly forcing turnovers, stopping you, and they're a big team, guys like Anthony Black, Wendell Carter, Fonz, Mo Wagner, they're a big team. I like the defense. I like the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope piece over him and Jalen Suggs, Greg Anthony. They got a lot of defenders on that team. They're a lengthy team. They can't shoot, but they can stop you from doing what you do best on offense. You know what I'm saying? But I guess the formula against that team, you just have to make your jump shots. You got to really be on the score, put on the scoring effort. I think your team and the Celtics, they superpower is the knockout punch from three. I feel like they're able to do things like that. You can have success against this team. They're still young, trying to figure it out. But for my standout team, that's the Orlando Magic.
That was actually my team, but I got another team. I was there with the Magic. Like when we saw Paolo go down, I thought it was gonna be kind of down for them. But
me too.
They last 15 games, they 13-2. So they figured it out. They relied on their defense. They winning some close games, and I think when he gets back, it's gonna be interesting to see like how if they're able to get an uptick in the offense and how far they can climb up in the standings. But I'll say a team for me. I have to go with a secondary team. It would be the Memphis Grizzlies. Like normally when you think of Memphis, you think of like their defense. Obviously with Ja, they kind of got a little bit more offense centric, but they have the number 2 offense in the league right now as far as points per game, which I wouldn't expect from them. So they really getting it done, and that's even with guys being kind of in and out of the lineup being hurt. Ja hasn't been fully healthy. Marcus Smart, but they got guys like Bane who've been consistent. Jaren Jackson, who's been a defensive player of the year candidate. Those guys really stepping up. Scottie Pippen Jr. is kind of averaging double digits off the bench. Just different guys doing different things for them to keep them up there in the rankings, and especially in a tough Western Conference. I think I expected them to get back to form, not to be like that a top 3 seed like they were a couple years ago before Ja got hurt, but I didn't know if they would be this good this early. But they got a great coach over there that's kind of keeping them on the right path, and I think just when Ja gets more consistent, the team's going to get even better. So I can see them making some moves, doing some things in the playoffs. Zach Edey, I think he's a tough matchup, a tough player to really kind of prepare for. So they decided to give him 25, 30 minutes one game. I think a lot of teams are going to struggle trying to figure out what we do against this guy because he's obviously a 7-foot-plus guy that he's consistent. He can rebound. He can shoot a little bit that he's shown in the league that a lot of people didn't realize. And I think it's a tough matchup for a lot of people. So, yeah, the Memphis Grizzlies are the team that I'm really looking at right now and saying I can see them kind of securing the top 3 seed in the West if they keep this up.
Real quick, I got like a little pushback. It's nothing crazy. I was just wondering why, because when me and you did it was our like projections of where we could see each team. I think I had Memphis like the farthest they could go is like the Western Conference Finals. I want to know why you thought that they wouldn't be back to form as quick. Like, what was your reservation there? I guess you could say.
It's for me. It's all about it's about Ja. Like obviously he came off the suspension and then the
Right.
injury, so I didn't know like will he really be able to get back into a rhythm. And that team, I just thought I didn't really know what Edie would be. Obviously, nobody thought Scottie Pippen would be able to kind of come in and make a contribution. So I just saw Ja, Bane, and Jackson, and I didn't know if it would be enough. So especially in the Western Conference, where like those top teams are just super tough, I didn't know if it would be enough to kind of to get over that hump. But they proved me wrong. I think even without Ja kind of being in his top form, they showed that they can still score some points, put points on the board, and get it done. So yeah, that was my reservation. It was strictly on Ja. I didn't know how Ja would be coming off the injury.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. First in assists at 30 a game, third in rebounds at 47.5, and second in offense, 121 points a game. That's a deep team. I actually love watching Scottie Pippen Jr. play. I feel like the offense is still very functional. It's very stable, even when Ja's off the bench. He's capable of running the offense. I really like Scottie Pippen Jr. I'm a J Huff fan too. I don't know if y'all got to see J Huff, man. He be shooting threes, catching oops. All that. I like him too, man. I feel like it's a pretty good team. Desmond Bane, on the other hand, I feel like he's not where he was last year. I think last year he was putting up like 26 a game at a pretty consistent clip. But I feel like I'm not gonna say it's regression. I just feel like they back to strength. You know,
Some short arms.
I do I do like that. I like that team. B-Man, who you got as your standout team?
Well, that would be 3 for 3, man. I had the Magic too, so I only talk about them briefly. Obviously, been able to keep the record that they got with Paolo. And I can't stand Orlando guards, but I gotta give them credit defensively. I do not like Suggs and Cole. Anthony Black gonna be on that list shortly, but they play good defense. That coach got them hooping. So I'll keep it short.
Anthony Black from Dallas, man. You gotta chill.
Dallas. I mean, he's still only a couple of years in though, so I ain't, he ain't like the other two. He ain't like Suggs and Carl Anthony just yet though. But I'm gonna have to see something from him before he get there though, for sure. So my second team that I went with standout team would be Philadelphia 76ers, man. I think that's a huge standout.
We got a reverse standout. Okay.
Yeah. That thing standing out, man. When I look at them standards and you look at that roster, that thing stands out like no other. It's kind of crazy to go from you would think they would be competing for at least the Eastern Conference Finals. Now they're competing for like maybe a top 5 pick. That's a big jump. That's a big gap to go from finals, NBA finals to with draft pick where you at in the lottery. I think it was a disaster. They paid Paul George all that money, over $200 million, and the ROI, the return on investment, is not good at the moment at all. I don't see it getting no better either. And he just perpetually injured. I mean, I think that kind of says it all. Paul George can't take more than a couple of steps before he grimacing. Like I just watched him. I think he just went down again the other night. So Maxi's catching a little bit of the injury bug too. I think the frustration is going to kick in after a while. So I see them just continue to flame out. So I got them as a kind of like the standout team, just from how far they would have projected to go to now how far they projected to go in the lottery.
Yeah, they as far as like the offensive categories, the major offensive categories, they either 29 or 30th in that's points, rebounds, and assists. They middle of the pack as far as the defense goes. The only thing I can see that's positive is the rookie Jared McCain. Me and Queso was actually talking about the Sixers the other night. We had a little incident. The stream had ended up getting cut, but we was pretty much saying a lot of things that you just said. I even asked, I wonder what it was that the Clippers saw that didn't get that they didn't give Paul George an extension. Matter of fact, that was on the Bill Simmons podcast when I was listening to those guys earlier. He was pretty much saying, I wonder what they saw that made them not want to extend him. Me and Queso just kind of chalked it up as him and Kawhi Leonard. It just didn't pan out. Like 5 years, if you don't really get no ROI, then it's kind of, I don't really blame anybody for divorce at that point in sports terms. But I think this is the year that the fans could turn on Joel Embiid, because I feel like you kind of have run out of excuses. You won the MVP, so at that point it's like, okay, you shown you could be a player in the league or the top player in the league, you don't really have any excuses anymore. This is your turn to lead. You got a rising star in Tyrese Maxey. We signed Paul George. We drafted a great rookie in Jerry McCain. We got Caleb Martin. I feel like this is one of the best rosters, if not the best roster he's ever been surrounded with. But unfortunately, they haven't all played consistent games together. And like he's on record for saying he's not playing any back-to-back. So, yeah. Okay, so what you thinking?
Yeah, I think like B-Mill said, they might end up in that top 5 draft pick, but I mean the bright side is they got McCain, who's looking like he could have been the top pick in the draft. So the bright side is you look like you got something to build on with Maxey, McCain, Embiid. Whether he's there or not, I don't know. Because like you said, I think people are getting frustrated in Philly with him, and we know how rough the Philly fans and that whole media can be towards their players. So once they go sour on you, it's bad. So we've heard about him, being late to meetings, this and that. So it's interesting to see how that's going to pan out. Paul George, I think obviously they knew it was a risk kind of making that move and going for him on paper. Ideally, if they all played, I think it would look a lot better. But the way this league goes, like I said, availability is the best ability, and they just haven't been able to play together. So we may never get to see what that roster could look like at full strength. So I don't blame the coach. I think Nick Nurse is a great coach. So we've seen what he can do. I think it's just a matter of just having like your top guy, your MVP, one of the best players in the league, not being able to get right. I mean, I can't really blame him for it. I can't say how injured he is, how injured he isn't, but I would imagine he wants to be out there because he sees what's at stake. So it's kind of rough for them. Obviously, I think he was excited to play with Paul George and Maxey, and obviously seeing McCain now, I would think that he's itching to get back out there on the court and be kind of a contributor, but it just is what it is. Hopefully, I think at this point they're kind of in a deep hole right now in the standings. So they are in the East, so it's a little bit of a weaker conference. So it's kind of top heavy. So they may be able to climb back, get to a play-in spot maybe, but they gotta right that ship fast because it's like quicksand right now. They can't get out of it. I don't know.
You kind of said something that kind of hit home, and we may never see what this roster may look like at the full potential. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it got me thinking a little bit. What if, like, for the foreseeable future, being like the next 2 years, Paul George and Joel Embiid just cannot stay healthy, and Tyrese Maxey looks up, and it's just him and McCain? Because I'm assuming if McCain is this good as a rookie, in the next 2 years, I'm thinking like at least I could see 21 points a game in like the next 2 years. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, but like I wonder what that could look like. Joel Embiid's never there. In 2 years, Paul George, that should be a wrap. And that contract is kind of
for sure.
Yeah, respectfully, but I'm just what we're here for. But that kind of got me thinking that could be real ugly. I ain't gonna hold you. That could be real ugly.
And I see McCain getting the 20 points a game this season. I see that happening this season, man. McCain he's the truth, man. McCain is that dude. I see it happening, especially if he's getting the minutes and because those other guys not playing. I see McCain averaging 20 points this season. I see him running away with that Rookie of the Year. And, yeah, I see bright things in his future. Despite what the internet and Twitter want to say about him, when he get between the 94 feet on that court,
he liked that.
So, yeah, shout out to them for being able to see that and drafting him where they got him at because he's looking like he for sure should have been one of the top picks. So, thanks.
Yeah, you got something before we get up out of here?
Nah, man, just piggybacking on what everybody else saying, man. Might look up and it just then it won't just like you said about Paul George not working out with Kawhi. It won't be the first time it was another player that's kind of injury prone too. But I was thinking about too, same thing you were saying, kind of what the Clippers saw. Because the way I kind of looked at between him and Kawhi is like Paul George got a little bit of better health. Paul George will miss some weeks, and Kawhi will miss some seasons. But I think what the Clippers saw is that Kawhi is still the better player when he healthy. Maybe that's what I think. Kawhi must be real good for analytics, man. Like he must look brilliant on analytics, like.
Because if whenever he shows the ability to play like 10 plus games, he undeniable. Like we had a big group chat debate a while back. Queso was just saying he felt like in 2019, Kawhi was the best player in the league, and there's a lot of evidence there to back that up. If you really want to be honest, Like, so he's really like undeniable for real. It's just when he's available.
And when is that? I don't know, man. The Clippers is kind of. I was kind of odd. I guess if you ain't gonna have two, you might as well let one of them go. If you gonna, it's better than having two injured players. But the Clippers is actually not that bad. I was looking at their record, like 14-10, which is surprising. I thought they would be 10-14.
James Harden is he's doing his thing.
He is, man. They got I know Norman Powell is out. I watched them play last night. They got the doors blown off of them last night, but they kind of surprised me as far as their record though to be 14-10. I feel like they have as far as the team goes.
My fault. Norman Powell was up to like 25 a game at one point this season. He was having like time in his life. Him and James Harden. It's one of those situations where like a team just real feisty. I remember I was watching them play against Denver early in the season. They went to overtime and everything. It's just James Harden just being real crafty and Norman Powell being that veteran scorer. Like they could just get it done on some nights. It's just. I don't know. It's gonna be real interesting to watch. I expect them to like really fall flat on their face, and I mean that with all due respect, because the West is just too tough for real. I'm not saying they just frauds and like that, but like it's really like cream rise to the top. That roster is lacking a lot of talent, and I don't really expect them to just really keep that up. But
these 14-10, not bad at all. Better than the other LA team currently.
Man, that was a Great Minds episode 2 NBA updates, man. We had a good one. I appreciate y'all boys for pulling up.
Yes, sir.
For sure.